What's up, y'all? So let me look for my book. Oh, it's right here. It's the county library's book. It's not my book, but the book I'm reading. I've already read this one. Check this one out if you haven't read this one. It's a lot shorter. I originally wanted this one. This one is the one I was keen to. I was aware of this book. I was referred through channels I can't remember to read this book. So this is already uploaded on my story. So if anybody wants to read, they can go check it out. I have a playlist on there. It's a few books back. And then I didn't realize it till I had this book that this one, it also includes, I'm reading it backwards. It includes the bonus book From Poverty to Power, which is what I'm reading right now. Which, as a man thinketh, is actually very short. Nothing really stands out to me too much. It's one of those books that says you got to think positively. You got to really control your negative thoughts. It's good to read these books because as we continue to walk as a human on this earth, to deflect the negative thoughts, especially if we come from a negative place, to just have that reminder, this book has constantly, the Bible, the books I've read are constantly, this one especially is reminding me to just carry on, to separate, to understand. So yeah, we are on The Secret of Health, Success, and Power. All right. So we all remember with what intense delight as children we listened to the never-tiring fairy tale. How eagerly we followed the fluctuating fortunes of the good boy or girl, ever protected in the hour of crisis from the evil machinations, like machine, but machinations, machinations, of the scheming witch, the cruel giant, or the wicked king. And our little hearts never faltered for the fate of the hero or heroine, nor did we doubt their ultimate triumph over all their enemies. For we knew that the fairies were infallible and that they would never desert those who had consecrated themselves to the good and the true. And what unspeakable joy pulsated within us when the fairy queen, bringing all her magic to bear at the critical moment, scattered all the darkness and trouble and granted them the complete satisfaction of all their hopes. And they were happy ever after. With the accumulating years and ever-increasing intimacy with the so-called realities of life, our beautiful fairy world became obliterated, and its wonderful inhabitants were relegated in the archives of memory to the shadowy and unreal, and we thought we were wise and strong and thus leaving forever the land of childish dreams. But as we had become little children in the wondrous world of wisdom, we shall return again to the inspiring dreams of childhood and find that they are, after all, realities. The fairy folk, so small and nearly always invisible, yet possessed of an all-conquering and magical power, who bestow upon the good health, wealth, and happiness along with all the gifts of nature and lavish profusion, start again into reality and become immortalized in the soul realm of those who, by growth in wisdom, have entered into a knowledge of the power of thought and the laws which govern the inner world of being. To them the fairies live again as thought people, thought messengers, and thought powers working in harmony with the overruling good. And they who day by day endeavor to harmonize their hearts with the heart of the supreme good do in reality acquire true health, wealth, and happiness. There is no protection to compare with goodness, and by goodness I do mean a mere outward conformity to the rules of morality. I mean pure thought, noble aspiration, unselfish love, and freedom from vain glory. It's one word, vain glory. Being vain and glory together. And freedom from vain glory. To dwell continually in good thoughts is to throw around oneself a psychic atmosphere of sweetness and power that leaves its impress upon all who come into contact with it. As the rising sun puts to rout the helpless shadows, so are all the impotent forces of evil put to flight by the searching rays of positive thought which shine forth from a heart made strong in purity and faith. Where there is sterling faith and uncompromising purity, there is health, there is success, there is power. In such a one, disease, failure, and disaster can find no lodgment, for there is nothing on which they can feed. Even physical conditions are largely determined by mental states, and to this truth the scientific world is rapidly being drawn. The old materialistic belief that we are what our body makes us is rapidly passing away and is being replaced by the inspiring belief that we are superior to our bodies, and that our bodies are what we make them by the power of thought. The belief that people are despairing because they are dyspeptic has been replaced with the understanding that they are dyspeptic because they are despairing. And in the near future, the fact that all disease has its origin in the mind will become common knowledge. So it's saying that despairing, like being negative, sad, and in gloom, darkness, depression, and in turn, that all comes after that, after being sad and not believing in yourself and thinking bad about yourself. After all that comes envy, jealousy, hate, ego, vainglory. We just learned that word. There is no evil in the universe, but has its root and origin in the mind. And sin, sickness, sorrow, and affliction do not, in reality, belong to the universal order, are not inherent in the nature of things, but are the direct outcome of our ignorance of the right relations of things. It's kind of like a computer that gets a virus. Look, there is no evil in the universe, but has its root and origin in the mind. And sin, sickness, it sounds like the Bible, right? And sin, sickness, sorrow, and affliction do not, in reality, belong to the universe. It's like a food that gets some sort of, like a bug in it, like a vegetable that gets some sort of like a tree that gets a disease, So that's what sin is to the human spirit, the human body, the human existence. They do not belong to the universal order, are not inherent in the nature of things, but are the direct outcome of our ignorance of the right relations of things. According to tradition, there once lived in India a school of philosophers who led a life of such absolute purity and simplicity that they commonly reached the age of 150 years, and to fall sick was looked upon by them as an unpardonable disgrace, for it was considered to indicate a violation of law. Damn, that would be so hard. You ever sat in your anxiety and thought, like, yes, these are powerful thoughts, but you ever sat in your anxiety and thought, man, if they did implement a rule about reading your mind and base laws off of that, oh, if you think this, even if you just think that this is a crime, you ever thought, like, where would you be? So look at right here, look. So we're blessed in a situation, I would say. I mean, the kings of this world must know their evils to not be so strict on us, but I don't know, I feel it's a pretty amazing, I mean, we're blessed, but we're like, we come into this world with teachers who are already kind of screwed up, but then imagine, I mean, I'm sure these guys bring up their children like this. Like, I want to hear the stories about the philosophers who were imperfect, who created such sort of tradition, because that had to be created by something that wanted to change from something else. According to tradition, there once lived in India a school of philosophers, people, I mean, who led a life of such absolute purity and simplicity that they commonly reached the age of 150 years. I mean, why can't that tradition be brought up again? But it would have to be brought up by people who already maybe are imperfect. So they would say, like, 150 years, they commonly reached the age of 150 years, and to fall sick was looked upon by them as an unpardonable disgrace. He said that's pretty strict, but it was considered to indicate a violation of law. The sooner we realize and acknowledge that sickness, far from being the arbitrary visitation of an offended God or the test of an unwise providence, is a result of our own error or sin, the sooner shall we enter upon the highway of health. Disease comes to those who attract it, to those whose minds and bodies are receptive to it, and flees from those whose strong, pure, and positive thought sphere generates healing and life-giving currents. If you are given to anger, worry, jealousy, greed, or any other inharmonious state of mind, expect perfect physical health, and you expect it, you are expecting the impossible. For you are continually sowing the seeds of disease in your mind. If you would be free from all physical aches and pains and would enjoy perfect would enjoy perfect physical harmony. Because that could be meaning perfect physical. Perfect. Then put your mind in order and harmonize your thoughts. Think joyful thoughts. Think loving thoughts. Let the elixir of goodwill course through your veins. You will need no other medicine. Put away your jealousies, your suspicions, your worries, your hatreds, your selfish indulgences. And you will put away your dyspepsia, dyspepsia, your biliousness, like your bile, bili. It comes from the word bile, bilial. But it's saying put away your dyspepsia, your biliousness, your nervousness, and aching joints. If we will persist in clinging to these debilitating and demoralizing habits of mind, then do not complain when your body is laid low with sickness. The following story illustrates the close relations that exist between habits of mind and bodily conditions. A certain man was afflicted with painful disease, and he tried one physician after another, but all to no purpose. He then visited towns that were famous for their curative waters, and after having bathed in them, all his disease was more painful than ever. One night he dreamed that a presence came to him and said, "Brother, hast thou tried all the means of cure?" And he replied, "I have tried all." "Nay," said the presence, "come with me, and I will show thee a healing bath which has escaped thy notice." This is a long chapter, guys, okay? The afflicted man followed, and the presence led him to a clear pool of water and said, "Plunge thyself in this water, and thou shalt surely recover." And thereupon vanished. The man plunged into the water, and on coming out, lo, his disease had left him. At the same moment he saw written above the pool the word "renounce." Upon waking, the full meaning of his dream flashed across his mind, and looking within, he discovered that he had all along been a victim to a sinful indulgence, and he vowed that he would renounce it forever. He carried out his vow, and from that day his affliction began to leave him, and in a short time he was completely restored to health. Many people complain that they have broken down through overwork. In the majority of such cases, the breakdown is more frequently the result. Okay, so saying people oftentimes claim that they die because they've been overworked, or they overwork, or that they're sick, or their body's breaking down because of overwork. In the majority of such cases, the breakdown is more frequently the result of foolishly wasted energy. If you would secure health, you must learn to work without friction. To become anxious or excited, or to worry over needless details, is to invite a breakdown. Work, whether of brain or body, is beneficial and health-giving, and those who can work with a steady and calm persistency, freed from all anxiety and worry, and with their minds utterly oblivious to all but the work in hand, will not only accomplish far more than those who are always hurried and anxious, but they will retain their health, a boon, B-O-O-N, which the others quickly forfeit. It kind of sounds like you just want us to work really, really hard and not complain, but I get what he's saying. If you're not worried, that's why as a young person you gotta really try to make a career out of something you really enjoy. There's a lot of people out here who are willing to work regular, normal 9 to 5s. If that's not you, for example, because I've been thinking about it lately, or encouraging someone to do it, I have certain circumstances that keep me from doing certain things. So, but if I have an idea, I can share it with somebody. If I see that they have those things that I lack, I could not use them, but I can encourage them to do something good, and if they succeed, I know they'll help me, So, but for example, if you like coaching, if you like basketball, you just really enjoy the game. You're like, this is where I feel most comfortable. This is my office. Well, this is where I feel comfortable out here, playing basketball. Then maybe you could. There's a lot of people, like I said, who are willing to take a training class of basketball. Some people have gotten into it just recently in their middle age or their early manhood, which we got to start seeing 30 years old as early manhood, because we want to live at least 80, 90, 100 years old. So middle manhood would be 50 years old in that sense. So we got to stop saying like, oh, well, even if, I was like 18 saying I feel old. Like, how stupid is that train of thought, So find your niche. If you like art, you could charge people parents, their kids of, we want your kid to do art. I'm not the best artist, but I'm willing to, because half of it's in your mind. I would say all of it. All of it is self-belief. Like, you might be a better artist than me, but I believe in myself a lot more, so I'm willing to put it out there. And so people will buy it off the fact that of your passion, you know. A lot of it is confidence. A lot of it is just, I decided this is who I am, and nobody could take that from me. So true health and true success go together, for they are inseparably intertwined with the thought realm. As mental harmony produces bodily health, so it also leads to a harmonious sequence in the actual working out of your plans. Order your thoughts and you will order your life. Pour the oil of tranquility upon the turbulent waters of the passions and prejudices and the tempests of misfortune. Howsoever they may threaten, will be powerless to wreck the ship of your soul as it threads its way across the ocean of life. And if that ship be piloted by a cheerful, never-failing faith, its course will be doubly sure, and many perils will pass it by which would otherwise attack it. By the power of faith, ever-enduring work is accomplished. You must have faith in the supreme, faith in the overruling law, faith in your work and in your power to accomplish that work. This is the rock upon which you must build if you would achieve, if you would stand and not fall. You must follow under all circumstances the highest promptings within you. You must always be true to the divine self, to rely upon the inward light, the inward voice. You must pursue your purpose with a fearless and restful heart, believing that the future will satisfy your every thought and effort. You must believe that the laws of the universe can never fail. This is faith in the living of faith. By the power of such a faith, the dark waters of uncertainty are divided. Every mountain of difficulty crumbles away, and the believing soul passes on unharmed. Strive to acquire, above everything, the priceless possession of this daunting faith, for it is the talisman of happiness, of success, of peace, of power, of all that makes life great and superior to suffering. Build upon such a faith, and you build upon the rock of the eternal, and with the materials of the eternal, and the structure that you erect will never be dissolved, for it will transcend all the accumulations of material luxuries and riches, the end of which is dust. Whether you are hurled into the depths of sorrow or lifted upon the heights of joy, ever retain your hold upon this faith. Ever return to it as your rock of refuge, and keep your feet firmly planted upon its immortal and immovable base. A lot of this seems like it's taken from the Bible, which, if the Bible could speak, would not be, oh, you're a biter, you know how we do in hip-hop or stuff like that. Nah, the Bible will be like, thanks for sharing it. Centered in such a faith, you will become possessed of such spiritual strength as will shatter, like so many toys of glass, all the forces of evil that are hurled against you, and you will achieve a success such as the mere striver after worldly gain can never know or ever dream of. There are men and women who have realized this faith, who live in it and by it day by day, and who have put it to the uttermost test, have entered into the possession of his glory and peace. Who live in it and by it day by day, and who, having put it to the uttermost test, have entered into the possession of his glory and peace. Such have sent out the word of command in the mountains of sorrow and disappointment, of mental weariness and physical pain, have passed from them and have been cast into the sea of oblivion. If you will become possessed of this faith, you will not need to trouble about your success or failure, and success will come. You will not need to become anxious about results, but will work joyfully and peacefully, knowing that right thoughts and right efforts will inevitably bring about right results. I know a woman who has entered into many blissful satisfactions, and recently a friend remarked to her, "Oh, how fortunate you are. You only have to wish for a thing and it comes to you." And it did indeed appear so on the surface, but in reality all the blessedness that has entered into this woman's life is the direct outcome of the inward state of blessedness which she has throughout life been cultivating and training toward perfection. Mere wishing brings nothing but disappointment. It is living that tells. The foolish wish and grumble, a wise work and wait. And this woman had worked without and within, but especially within upon heart and soul. And with the invisible hands of the Spirit she had built up with the precious stones of faith, hope, joy, devotion, and love, a fair temple of light, whose glorifying radiance was ever round about her. It beamed in her eye, it shone through her countenance, it vibrated in her voice, and all who came into her presence felt its captivating spell. As it is with her, so it can be with you. Your success, your failure, your influence, your whole life you carry about with you, for your dominant trends of thought are the determining factors in your destiny. Send forth loving, stainless, and happy thoughts. and blessings will fall into your hands, and your table will spread with the cloth of peace. Send forth hateful and pure and unhappy thoughts, and curses will rain down upon you, and fear and unrest will wait upon your pillow. You are the unconditional maker of your fate, be that fate that it may. Every moment you are sending forth from you the influences that will make or mar your life. Let your heart grow large and loving and unselfish, and great and lasting will be your influence and success. Even though you make little money, confine it within the narrow limits of self-interest. And even though you become a millionaire, your influence and success at the final reckoning will be found to be utterly insignificant. Cultivate then this pure and unselfish spirit, and combine it with purity and faith, singleness of purpose, and you are evolving from within the elements not only of abounding health and enduring success, but of greatness and power. If your present position is distasteful to you and your heart is not in your work, nevertheless perform your duties with scrupulous diligence, and while resting your mind in the idea that the better position and greater opportunities are waiting for you, ever keep an active mental outlook for budding possibilities, so that when the critical moment arrives and the new channel presents itself, you will step into it with your mind fully prepared for the undertaking, and with that intelligence and foresight which is born of mental discipline. Whatever your task may be, concentrate your whole mind upon it. Throw into it all the energy of which you are capable. The faultless completion of small tasks leads to inevitably larger tasks. See to it that you rise by steady climbing, and you will never fall, and herein lies the secret of true power. Learn by constant practice how to husband your resources and to concentrate them at any moment upon a given point. The foolish waste all their mental and spiritual energy in frivolity, foolish chatter, or selfish argument, not to mention wasteful physical excesses. If you would acquire overcoming power, you must cultivate poise and passivity. You must be able to stand alone. All power is associated with immovability. The mountain, the massive rock, the storm-tried oak, all speak to us of power because of their combined solitary grandeur and defiant fixity, while the shifting sand, the yielding twig, and the waving reed speak to us of weakness because they are immovable and non-resistant, and are utterly useless when detached from other people. People of power remain calm and unmoved even when all around them are swayed by some emotion or passion. You cannot be fit to command and control unless you have succeeded in commanding and controlling yourself. The hysterical, the fearful, and thoughtless are frivolous. Let such seek company, or they will fall for lack of support. But the calm, the fearless, the thoughtful, and grave, let such seek the solitude of the forest, the desert, and the mountaintop. And to their power, more power will be added, and they will more and more successfully stem the psychic currents and whirlpools which engulf humankind. Passion is not power, it is abuse of power. The dispersion of power. Passion is like a furious storm that beats fearlessly and wildly upon the embattled rock, while power is like the rock itself, which remains silent and unmoved through it all. That was a manifestation of true power when Martin Luther, wearied with the persuasions of his fearful friends, who were doubtful as to his safety should he go to worms, replied, "If there were as many devils and worms as there are tiles on the housetops, I would go." And when Benjamin Disraeli, who would later become Great Britain's Prime Minister, broke down in his first parliamentary speech and brought upon himself the derision of the House, that was an exhibition of germinal, Germinal, power, when he exclaimed, "The day will come when you will consider it an honor to listen to me." When that young man whom I knew, passing through continual reverses and misfortunes, was mocked by his friends and told to desist from further effort, and he replied, "The time is not far distant when you will marvel at my good fortune and success," he showed that he was possessed of that silent and irresistible power which has taken him over innumerable difficulties and crowned his life with success. If you have not this power, you may acquire it by practice, and the beginning of power is likewise the beginning of wisdom. You must commence by overcoming those purposeless trivialities to which you have hitherto been a willing victim. I try to finish that sentence, but you say, so you must commence by overcoming those purposeless trivialities to which you have hitherto been, which you have accepted, which you have, it's hitherto is like you have accepted. So what he's saying is like this whole time you've had the power to decide, even if you don't feel like you did. It's like not allowing an excuse, but to take responsibility and to learn. Boisterous and uncontrolled laughter, slander and idle talk, and joking merely to raise a laugh. All these things must be put on one side as so much waste of valuable energy. What? You don't want me to laugh? I'm not gonna lie, I do use humor as a survival mechanism. St. Paul never showed his wonderful insight into the hidden laws of human progress to greater advantage than when he warned the Ephesians against foolish talking and jesting, which is not convenient. For to dwell habitually in such practices is to destroy all spiritual power in life. As you succeed in rendering yourself impervious to such mental dissipations, you will begin to understand what true power is, and you will then commence to grapple with the more powerful desires and appetites which hold your soul in bondage and bar the way to power, and your further progress will then be made clear. Above all, be of single aim, have a legitimate and useful purpose, and devote yourself unreservedly to it. Let nothing draw you aside, be eager to learn but slow to beg. Have a thorough understanding of your work and let it be your own. As you proceed, ever following the inward guide, the infallible voice, you will pass on from victory to victory and will rise step by step to higher resting places, and your ever-broadening outlook will be gradually revealing to you the essential beauty and purpose of life. Self-purified health will be yours. Faith-protected success will be yours. Self-governed power will be yours, and all that you do will prosper. For ceasing to be a disjointed unit, self-enslaved. Okay, self-purified health will be yours. Faith-protected success will be yours. Self-governed power will be yours, and all that you do will prosper. So self-governed, you kind of just reflect on your life and the decisions you're making. All that you would do will prosper. For ceasing to be a disjointed unit, okay, for ceasing, ceasing, so to no longer be a disjointed unit, self-enslaved, you will be in harmony with the great law, working no longer against, but with the universal life, the eternal good, and what health you gain will remain with you. What success you achieve will be beyond all human computation and will never pass away, and what influence and power you will continue to increase throughout the ages. For it will be a part of that unchangeable principle which supports the universe. This, then, is the secret of health. Okay, so, and what health you gain will remain with you. What success you achieve will be beyond all human computation and will never pass away. And what influence and power you wield will continue to increase throughout the ages. For it will be part of that unchangeable principle which supports the universe. This, then, is the secret of health. A pure heart and a well-ordered mind. This is the secret of success. An unfaltering faith and a wisely directed purpose, and to rein in with unfaltering with the dark steed of desire. Like stop a desire, like it'll stop being a desire to you. And to rein in with unfaltering will the dark steed of desire. This is the secret of power. I'm gonna keep moving forward. I'm not gonna stop and try to study this, whatever soaks in, Have faith even right now you're trying to clean up your life and you might still have these fears of people around you, or you might have your guard up, you might have your judgmental ways. You might even think too deep, Sometimes I think about things on the general side so much because I do music that I'm kind of like a monk in a way, or like a weird philosopher. I don't want to say like that's what I am, but I kind of see things from a learning standpoint of not just one singular individual, but rise. I have to. So, or just what life has shown me to do. And a lot of writers are like that, artists, people like that. It's not easy because you do waste a lot of energy on things that may not be personal to you, but it could also be a power. Anyway, peace. I'm sweating in here.